That's how bad this structure has become. Today, you're not talking about, you find money's being stolen outrightly. The other day, it was about the monies for school feeding found in somebody's account. You know, that's because everybody's property is nobody's own. And what they enjoyed under this pseudo-democracy, what they have enjoyed consistently is absolute power. And we who are saying that we must restructure Nigeria are saying that power must devolve to the states. We're saying that the states must control their resources and pay tax to the federal government. In that first republic, we had a system where the states and the regions, or the regions if you like, held back 50% of whatever they produced. Then they paid 20% as tax to the federal government. And then they had a 30% revolving capital base, where every state, the 30% is paid for emergency, for support to other regions and all that. And at that point in our history, this country was working. And what made Nzogwu and co angry was just about 10% corruption. Today, what we have is monstrous and monumental corruption. Everybody's stealing like it's going out of fashion. Nobody cares about Nigeria anymore because it's all man to himself, God for us all. But you know what? When you give control of resources to the component regions, I tell you what will happen. In the first place, a man from my hometown will come to the local government chairman and say, I know how much comes from my hometown. How much did you give to the state? And how much has the state given to the center? The present alibi that places every blame at Abuja will etiolate. Nobody will have Abuja to blame. We will hold our representatives responsible. We'll hold the governors responsible. And nobody who's kind and sane will tell you that we'll have more corruption in a restructured Nigeria than what we have today. You know what we have today? Anybody can sit in Abuja, decide what happens to your trillions, and then throw them at their friends. And then governors will say, oh, that Abuja gave me so and so. But when this control of resources, when the Robo man, the Chekiri man, the Igbo man, the Ndokwa man, the Yoruba man, the Joku man controls his resources, his governor cannot steal them. Because if he steals them, they will hold them directly responsible. That's exactly what we're saying. Devolve power to the states and the units. Do not allow the emotive tendencies, like those who are saying that, oh, if the state governors control the police, they will use them against political opponent. I tell you, the truth is that if I'm in charge of the state police in my locality, you have uncles and aunties who perhaps belong to other political parties. You have people who will meet and say, no, you cannot use the police the way you like because we have a federal government that's watching you. You have local government that's watching. The levers of control, the levers of monitoring, the levers of decision-making becomes broader and bigger, such that nobody will stay in Abuja and say, lock them all up. Because you have levels of control. You have community police, you have state police, and then you have the national police. Like obtains even in Ghana here, like obtains in Benin Republic, like obtains in the United States of America. We must be true to what we say on paper. If we truly call ourselves the Federal Republic of Nigeria, then we don't need a unitary, a federal government-controlled police at all levels. Then we don't need a federal government that controls all the resources, including the water behind my house, including the oil well in Oloibiri, including, but not excluding, the issues about mines, about gold mines in Kwara or Kaduna. The time has come for us to look inwards, revolutionize this country, ensure that industry becomes the basics for national growth. Because if we don't do that, our search for that republic that works, our search for a prosperous Nigeria will be like the wait for Godot.
Awesome. That's been an interesting insight there on restructuring. People, you have been listening to Elombah Television, and it's Angel Lady. Today we've got Professor Chris Wakuba, who is right there talking to us about restructuring. For those online, you can ask your questions as well. You can join the live session, and you can be part of what is going on right here. All right. So we'll go some further. For viewers, I can see someone did hands up for a question. You can ask your questions in our moment. Let's take it further some more. If we restructure, what's going to happen if Nigeria is restructured? Is it possible that we would have people looking away from the federal government and consistently looking at what's happening at the different regions, and the federal government will not be like in Nigeria, we have this godfatherism issue where everyone wants to give back to their godfathers. Now, if we restructure as a country, do you think that the godfatherism issue will die a natural death?
It will die gradually. It naturally will fizzle out. But the tragedy of the Godfather normative in Nigeria is that we have men and women who are extremely selfish. All over the world, you have godfathers in the political space, but some do it for national good. Here, tragically, we have men who do it for simply for egocentric and individualistic end. And that's where ours is bad. But I tell you that when we restructure, some have said you need a restructuring of the mind first. And there's no such thing as a restructuring of the mind. I quoted a scripture, a Christian scripture, before I started. I said that the Holy Bible says that if the foundation is faulty, what can the righteous do? It means that if you have righteous men everywhere, if the basics are wrong, all it would do is corrupt the righteous ones. And so those who are saying that, oh, you need a restructuring of the mind, lose it. Because I'll give you a practical instance. Across the world, Chinese are about the most corrupt people. In China, you dare not steal one kobo. That's the structure. Do you know how America was founded? America was founded by bootleggers, robbers, slave owners. But in America, they had a philosophy, a manifesto of nationhood. And they even fought wars, the blue and the red coat wars, the Confederal and the Federalist papers, until they came by a manifesto that would work for all Americans. What am I trying to say? That those who are saying that, oh, everywhere, in the First Republic, those who ran Nigeria were Nigerians. They were accused of 10% corruption. Today, you have individuals, you have civil servants who own 60 houses because nobody's watching them. I'll give you another practical instance. If you have a unit, a family unit, everyone is able to look at the brother or the sister and say, oh, you're not doing well. If you devolve power to the component regions, the alibi that the present state governors have, where they are able to blame Abuja for shortfall in resources, will not be there. And so people can outrightly accuse them of bad governance. And that obviously will diminish the control of godfathers, for instance, because the governor will come to the godfather and say, hey, I don't have money from Abuja. We're the ones generating these resources, and the local government units know how much we generate. So I can't give you so much. It will etulate godfather control. It will etulate corruption. And ultimately, what you're going to have is a nation that is coming off the banalities of corruption, and you have people who are going to become more responsible and responsive to the people. That's the argument we're making. We're not saying that automatically when you restructure, Nigerians will become saints, but the levels of control, the levels of monitoring will be much more than when you have an Abuja that is seemingly almighty and they take decisions for every Nigerian, and then the levels of control become so poor that even governors are but beggarly appendages of the center. The state governments come to Abuja to beg for money. The local governments beg for money. And that can work for progress. That's exactly what we're saying, that the time has come for you to restructure, for us to restructure this country and ensure that levels of control broadens and the regions become much more responsible and responsive to the people than it is today.
Thank you. There's still some more questions coming in. People, do not forget that you can ask your question. Just in a moment, let's take one more question. And this one is, do you agree with former President Atiku Abubakar's version of restructuring, that what we need is devolution of powers to the component states?
No, it is not about, anybody who truly cares about this country will be talking about devolution of powers. That's fundamentally the way to go. You can't wish progress just like that. You cannot expect, President Muhammad Buhari has told us that he wants to make Nigeria responsible and responsive. He wants to grow the economy in 10 years such that 100 million Nigerians can be employed. Where are you going to get the jobs from? I'll give you a practical instance. Kogi State, for instance, has about 40 mineral resources. How many of them has been exploited and explored? Nasarawa State has about 34 mineral resources. How many of them has been exploited and explored? Plateau State has about 32 mineral resources. How much of it has been explored and exploited? It is because the federal government controls just about everything. You want the Ministry of Mines and Power to control every metal, every resources in this country from Abuja. Where does it? Who does that? How can it work? We're just begging Mr. President to understand that those who are saying that we need to restructure indeed are patriots and will care about our country. The time has come for us to think about what will make this country great again. This is the greatest country under heaven. I say this passionately. This is a country that is blessed with the highest amount of resources ever known to humankind. We have the best of minds. We have the best of resources. Of the best resources in the world, about 60 of them, Nigeria has over 46 of mineral resources. We see our top gold, uranium, diamond, columbite, name them. And yet our people are hungry and poor. And that's because we run a structure that is rent-taking and rent-seeking. The day we give these resources to the states, you'll find out. I've heard people say that a state like Ebonyi and a few other states cannot sustain themselves if you restructure. That is the greatest lie. I'll give you a practical instance. What resources does Japan have? What natural resources does Japan have? The greatest resource given to mankind is the mind, the human capital. And so all you need is to develop the Nigerian human capital and then devolve power to the states. You find out that from the rice fields of Abakaliki, the salt fields of Ezza Kingdom, great wealth will come to the Ebonyi people. You find out that across this country, there is no state that cannot survive and thrive. Quote me anywhere. All you need is a restructured Nigeria that will create challenge, that will make every state appropriate its resources the way it deems best, and ensure that at the end of the day, they pay tax to the center for the upkeep of the federal government, and then a common pool, maybe 30% to a common pool, so that the states can support other states that do not have so much. That is the way to go. But until that is done, you know, when I hear people say, "Oh, this country can work. There's no problem with the structure," ask people the question my late father used to ask me: what sane man expects of a prostitute, a daughter who's 21 and a virgin? What sane man expects of an armed robber, a 24-year-old boy who picks up money in the village square and returns it to the village square? You can't, it is garbage in, garbage out. You can't sow cocoyam and reap cassava. Tragically, the Nigerian state sows cassava and wants to reap cocoyam. You cannot have a rent-seeking and a rent-taking enterprise and expect it to prosper.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing justice to all the questions so far. People, you have been listening and watching Elombah Television, and we have Professor Chris here right here with us, and he has been talking about restructuring of Nigeria. That is Professor Chris Nwokobia. He's been talking to us about restructuring Nigeria. I see a lot of hands up right here wanting to ask questions, and we're going to take those questions. We have Otumba Olabode Oseni right here. He's got a question. I see your hands up. Are you still with us?
Yes, I'm with you.
Hello, Otumba.
How are you?
Olabode.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
go ahead.
Thank you
very
very
well,
much
thank
for
you.
having
You're welcome.
Okay, and Prof, how are you? You must probably forgotten my face or my name. We've been together for a long time. The TVC during the time of preparation for this present government was very, very involved on TVC. We have shared a couple of television debate and so on. Now, it is very sad. I make reference boldly all the time when I have opportunity to rub minds with people like you. And I quickly share my my data in the sense that my age, my educational background, and so on and so forth. Not because I want to get anything for it, but just to let you know that at least people like you who are highly intelligent, I'm not patronizing you, I know you, that at least you have a lot to offer when you speak, and when you say things that are genuinely correct. Most of what you have said, I listen to it. Like I said, I'm 73 years old. I have a degree in political science and in law in this country. I've been away since 1970. So I live now in Europe. I live now in the UK. Now, again, like I said, I don't know where the argument, where the issue is generally coming from. Why an average Nigerian, especially we, the people who can read and write, especially the elite, what exactly is their problem? That's a structure that was either mistakenly or either whatever put together 60 years on. And listening to you, look at all the resources Nigeria is blessed with. And we are now still talking that 60 years on, we cannot show anything for it. Because I refuse to agree with anybody that says anything is working in Nigeria. You have to tell me what is working. In 2014, when I was in Nigeria, that was the last time, and I hope it's probably very going to be the last time. Like I said, I am not losing anything. It's only I have passion, like you repeatedly said, passion, passion, passion for the people of the country. Because here I am in Europe, I'm provided with basic things of life. What are those things? A roof over my head, 3 times square meal, Medicare, security, and transportation. All these are given to me because of my age. When I look back at how many of my age group in Nigeria are suffering, it is sad to note. And when I also look at the data of about 4%, less than 4% of Nigerians are taking advantage of millions of other people. It is also sad. So the point I'm trying to make in addition to what you have said is restructuring, I think, is the easiest and the best thing that can happen to sane society, people who can think. Because all this put together keep leading me to believe that we have a country that is retarded. I don't know why they cannot move forward. It's showing that people, even the educated ones, are still retarded in their thinking. Because like I said, what's anybody losing? When I look at a state in America called California that has almost the fifth economy, the largest economy in the world, it's still in America.
That's right.
Why don't you want to restructure Southwest or a state like Lagos? Why don't you want to restructure places? Let us restructure these things and get the best out of it. And other 59, 49 states in America are benefiting from California.
That's
The
right.
whole America is benefiting from California.
That's
And there
right.
are many other more states in America that are doing very well. So my own part of this contribution is I'm more concerned about we as a human being. Are we really spiritually developed? Do we know exactly what we want? Are we developed to think, to realize that the progress that have been made in Ekiti is going to be beneficial to somebody in Sanfra? Are we really, how long do we want to hold on that it is because of your religion, it's because of my ethnicity and all this? These are the things I want us to take to the lab and change. Prof, I appreciate you because
Thank you.
I hope you understand what I'm saying here.
Thank you
What
so
I'm
much,
saying here
sir.
is,
Yeah, I do.
what kind of people are we? Are we really human beings that can think, that we have to let loose? We have to understand that if we allowed Ogun State, see the amount of resources that is available in Ogun State or in Samfara. It's nothing to do with religion, nothing to do with it. And
Let
when
me
you
say
look,
this, sir.
yeah, okay, go on.
Let me say this, sir, because you just got me and you almost pulled out tears from my eyes. Let me say this, and I say this uh, with every sense of responsibility, that at some point, this country was the biggest, the largest producer of cocoa in the whole of Africa and indeed the world. Today, Cote d'Ivoire thrives and survives basically from its cocoa wealth. Today, the Southwest that built the cocoa house from cocoa doesn't have that wealth anymore. Today, Liberty Stadium, the University of Ibadan, the Federal Polytechnic Ibadan, and the likes that came off the wealth of cocoa do not, the Southwest doesn't have that much of wealth anymore. And they depend almost entirely on the federal government, rent-seeking and rent-taking enterprise. Remember in the First Republic, the beautiful streets of Kaduna, Meduguri, all the likes, and the citadels of learning that were built, they were from Cocoa Pyramid. They were from Granite Pyramid, Sesame, Heights and Skin. Today, we don't see them anymore. Do you know that this country has gold, has diamond, has columbite, has tantalite? All we do is depend on wealth buried in the Niger Delta that is soon going to be obsolete because the world is moving away from dirty energy, if you like, to clean energy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
And this country appears unwilling to look ahead because we have lazy people as leaders who are basically rent-seeking and rent-taking. And each time I talk about this, I beg of Mr. President, who we supported in 2014, 2015, to think about the promises they made to Nigeria then. I remember that, you remember, sir, that I was the DG of Change Ambassadors of Nigeria. I headed one of the arms of the campaign. And then I remember that we told Nigerians that when we win, we shall restructure Nigeria. It was one of the manifestos of the All Progressive Congress. Unfortunately, 5 years down the line, nobody's talking about it. Unfortunately, 5 years down the line, Nigeria has become, rather than leading economy in the world, has become the poverty capital of the world. And when you talk about restructuring, look at when Pastor Enoch Adeboye joined the call just about 3 days ago, what Gabashew came out to say, that nobody can force or threaten this government to, how they see advice that should make Nigeria work as a threat to government, I do not understand. And I pray, I truly, truly pray and wish that those who are close to Mr. President would go back to him and tell him that there's a place called legacy. There's a place called legacy. For every great leader would have an estate in that place. And that is the only thing that can outlive you. I think that this is what we must begin to tell those who pretend over this country, that the moment of victory is transient. Every leader will have his end, because everything that has a beginning has an end. And the only thing that you'll be remembered for are the things that you did properly. Today, nobody remembers Idi Amin Dada of Uganda. Nobody remembers Benito Mussolini. Nobody remembers Pol Pot. But everywhere in the world, people are erecting statues in honor of Mandela, in honor of Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, in honor of those who gave their best and their all for the good of their nation. I think that that's exactly what our leaders must begin to think about. And those who are partisan obscurantists, who think that what they must do is defend the indefensible because they supported a particular candidate. I remember at some point, sir, when the people were saying that, oh, I left the All Progressive Congress in 2017 because I wasn't offered an appointment. I called somebody and I said, be logical. If all I wanted was an appointment, I would continue to sing the praise of this government so that they will give me an appointment. But we made promises to the Nigerian people in 2015. And most of these promises have not been followed or fulfilled. And I think that my conscience, I'm a young man, I'm still in my 40s. My conscience demands that I live for that which is right. President Buhari is closer to where he's headed than I am. So I simply, if God gives me time, even if it is a pain of hardship, I must live for that which is true, proper, and right. And I believe that anybody who truly cares about this country would begin to beg, plead, ask, demand that those who should pretend the present watch would walk the path of restructuring.
All right, thank you so much. Yet there's still one question I would like to ask. Like you mentioned that in 2015 you were in the APC and you did support the APC, and of course some promises made during your campaign up till now has not been effected, and there is no plan towards it. We understand that in 2015 there was a restructuring committee headed by Governor El-Rufai, and the committee were expecting that would see a report, and so far we've not seen anything. What happened to that committee headed by Governor El-Rufai?
I truly do not want to make conjectures about that. I want to believe that.
Hello, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah, I want to say that the time is always right to do right. They have dilly-dallied. They have wasted so much time on walking that path that we promised to the Nigerian people. But it is never late. Mandela will say that it is never late to do what is right. I believe that now that so many people are beginning to join the call for restructuring, people like Balarebe Musa, people like Sam Adeyemi, people like Pastor Enoch Adeboye, people like Kayode Fayemi, now that everybody is beginning to realize that we can only walk the path of a rework of this country or we perish. Now that people are beginning to speak up and speak out, I hope and I pray that the likes of El-Rufai will bring out the report that they came up with. Because even in the north, I remember that the Emir of Kano, the former Emir of Kano, Sanusi Lamunde Sanusi, did say that it is only walking the path of an overhaul of the Nigerian enterprise that we can grow and diversify our economy and create wealth. I want to see the return of the timber wealth from Delta State, palm produce. I want to see the return of wealth from cassava and its and all that comes with it, from the Cross River axis, from the Benue axis. I want to see the wealth from coal return. I want to see the return of the pyramids of granite. I want to see our wealth from heights and skin. I want to see coal used. America, even in the face of the clean energy campaign, America generates the second largest quantum of electricity from coal. So I don't want people to deceive you. The world understands the urgency of now, and what we need to grow this country, what we need to prosper, what we need to move forward is to restructure this country.
You also did mention that the 1999 Constitution was thrown at Nigerians. Now let's look at it that Nigeria is being restructured and the Constitution will be revisited. How will the voice of the common man be heard, and how will the interests of the common man be represented if this is to take place? I mean, the restructuring and the Constitution visited.
Let me say clearly that I've heard those who are mischievous and who, with all sense of humility, are perhaps intelligent by half, say that you cannot have two sovereigns in a country. It's one of the greatest statements of all time is that an unusual situation demands unusual solution. And it was the great philosopher and scientist Albert Einstein that said that those who must solve problems must think out of the box, because attempting to solve the same problem the way it was created is insanity. As I talk to you clearly, the 1999 Constitution, even those who are using it today and quoting that we have a National Assembly that is sovereign, no, they all know that that Constitution is a lie. It's a pure lie. And how can a nation live a lie? At what point did Nigerians elect to have that Constitution? At no point. How can a nation that has Christians and Muslims decide to foist upon itself a lie? That's point number one. Then if we must remodel it, if we must return to truth, then what we need is a new constitution. All this so-called amendment of the Constitution is all people who are trying to hide behind one finger to remain relevant. What we need, and I have said to this country that there are three ways to actually fix this country via restructuring. And these three ways are easy. If we must give this National Assembly the benefit of the doubt, then dust up the 1963 Constitution, make the relevant amendments regarding the number of states, if you like, the regions and all that. impute it into the constitution. That was the constitution that Nigerians agreed to. Put it before the National Assembly and let them vote, debate on it and vote on it. Then we'll have what is closest to people's constitution. That's point number one. Point number two, what this government, the president can do is sponsor an executive bill to this National Assembly. See, I'm still doing a recourse to them so that we don't offend everybody. Go back to this National Assembly with an executive sponsored bill and ask for a conference where, inclusive of the members of the National Assembly, the ethnic leaders and civil society, they will meet. You can have a conference of 1,000 persons to sit for 3 months and then discuss these issues and come out with a constitution for the masses of this country, subject it to a referendum, and let us vote whether we accept it or not. Then the last one, which is clearly close to the second one, when this conference of, if you like, the 469 members of both the Senate House of, and then the civil society leader, representatives of the civil society, labor, allied organizations, and including ethnic nationalities meet to the conference. You bring the issues. No nation moves forward without discussing everything about it. Remove the no holds barred, remove the ouster clauses. Let us discuss this country. I'll surprise you that no segment of this country wants out of Nigeria. The only reason people are asking out of Nigeria is because of the injustices that the Nigerian enterprise sustains. The reason Nigerians are saying, oh, we're tired, is because where a kite has an oil well behind her house, a certain person in perhaps Kaduna or Kano buys off the oil well, and a kite's patrimonial rights are thrown away. Where you have an NNPC that budgets money every year and still does not refine petroleum product, it's a failed state. Nigerians are saying that the time has come, knowing fully well that this country is blessed by God with amazing resources. The time has come. If leadership has refused to work, then let's go our separate ways. Nigerians are simply saying that as presently constituted, our system is dysfunctional and we're tired of failure. But I tell you that if we congregate at the parlor where we discuss this country dispassionately, you find out that the man who's talking about Biafra truly loves Nigeria. You find out that the man who's talking about Odua Republic wants to stay here. You find out that the man who's talking about Arewa wants to be here, because we're all held together by a single network of mutuality, created uniquely by the Almighty God, blessed with amazing resources by the Almighty God. All we need to do is to sit down, agree to disagree, and agree on fundamental issues, and then move this country forward.
It's been an interesting session right here with Professor Chris Mokovia right here talking to us about restructuring Nigeria. For those who are following us on Instagram, on Facebook, it's Professor Chris Mokovia right here. And this is Elombah Television. You've got Angel Lady right here anchoring. And of course, you can ask your questions as well. I had one hand raised. Let's see who that is and if he's still available. Let's take your questions right now. Okay, I can't see that hand anymore. All right, people, you have been listening to Elombah Television. You can ask your questions and you can also be a part of our conversation by following us on Instagram, like our Facebook page, and subscribe to our YouTube channel on YouTube so that every of our events, all our posts, you'll be the first to know. And we've got Professor Chris Mokovia right here. He's been talking to us about restructuring and we've been asking questions, which has also been answered. And let's see who's got a question right here for Dr. Chris. We see, okay, Daniel wants to ask a question. Daniel, you have the mic. Ask your question.
Prof, it's a pleasure to see you here. I have, my question will be, going by your last statement that the agitation for restructuring is fueled by the injustice of the Nigerian system. Will that not support the contention of those who say that the country does not actually need a restructuring, but that what the country actually needs is good governance? Because if I agree with you that restructuring, agitation for restructuring is fueled by injustice of the Nigerian system. Then what will solve the problem is not restructuring, but good governance, where every part of the country deserves what they have, what the Greek philosophers call natural justice. So where natural justice prevails, the greatest good to the greatest number, then the agitation for restructuring will simply fade away.
Let me say clearly that when you have a defective, a dysfunctional, and a faulty structure, the best of leaders cannot function well. You can't get good governance when your structure does not allow for progress. If you have 10 Mandelas to pretend Nigeria, they will fail. And I'll give you 6 reasons why. If you have 20 Obamas to pretend Nigeria, they will fail. If you have a Kwame Nkrumah here without a national philosophy and a national manifesto, they will fail. If you have 1,000 Buharis, they will fail. And this simply 6 reasons. To have good governance, you must have a structure that inspires hard work. The Nigerian structure as presently constituted does not inspire hard work. The federal government controls everything. Not even in China, where you have a communist government, does the central government control everything. Google it. You find out that the constituent republics, the constituent parts of China generate. That's why a communist economy is about the most boisterous economy in the world today. You must inspire hard work. You can't control everything from Abuja and you tell me what kind of leadership can do. Who does that? That's point number 1. Then point number 2, everybody's property is nobody's property. There must be a sense of ownership. We failed after the First Republic because the military took over our collective patrimony and wealth. And what it did was whoever can grab will grab. When we got the Muhammad Buhari government into power, what was our calculation? We were going to fight corruption. Have you discovered that every successive government in this country appears more corrupt than the one before it? And do you know why? Because everybody's property is nobody's property. We have to devolve power. Then number 3, there's something called patriotism. Our laws, our constitution does not inspire that. I'll give you a practical instance. Our constitution says that we're a secular state, but in our constitution, you have a provision for Sharia legal system. You do not have a provision for the canonical system. The common law is not a Christian law, as it were, because even the United Kingdom is perhaps not, the Anglican system is not, the common law that we have does not, our constitution does not have a provision for Christianity, but it has a provision for Islam, Sharia. And you call it a secular law? These are fundamental issues. So that is why you hear a lot of people saying that, oh, it does appear like our constitution is skewed to favor the North. We have to rework it. And then we have a system that in terms of representation, until you have a truly federal system, a la the American system, where justice, social justice is a given, you cannot have a Kano state, for instance, that has more lawmakers than Lagos that has more population. You cannot have a Kano state that has more lawmakers than almost the whole Southeast states put together. An unjust system cannot inspire good governance. Now, primarily, let me, the 5th point, which of course we must note, since we had this NMPC, Google about NMPC, control of wealth from the center, our refineries successively every year has lost its competency and capacity to produce. It is not effectual, efficient, and all that. And if you bring a 10 competent hands to manage an NPC, it will still be a cesspool of corruption. You know why? Because there's no trust in the system. The young man in the Niger Delta wants to grab what he can grab. The one in the north wants to grab what he can grab because it is still not, Nigerian state as presently run is not seen as our patrimony. And I'm telling you clearly that and that takes me back again to the Bible. That Christian Bible says that if the foundation be faulty, note it, if you have a faulty foundation, there is nothing the righteous can do. If you have the best men and the best minds to govern Nigeria. When I ran for presidency in 2011, as the youngest to have run for the office of president, the first thing I told Nigerians was, what we have to do to be successful is to rework the Nigerian structure. And beyond reworking Nigerian structure, reconcile Nigerians, because there's so much blood in this land. It is metaphysical reality. Every nation, when Mandela took over power, he began with truth and reconciliation. The Americans have mementos of reconciliation. That is why America has survived until now, before the president came with his divisive shenanigans. But what am I trying to say? The time has come, and which is lastly the point. Number 6, you can only restructure this country and then walk the path of national reconciliation before you can have true patriots as leaders and good leaders. You know, that's exactly why I keep telling those who say, oh, rework the mind. How do you rework the mind? I gave you a practical instance of what my late father told me, and which is clearly that if a woman is a prostitute at 18, 19, 20, if you come to her house to demand a virginity test on her daughter, who's 18, 20, or 19, you'll be considered, my father majored in sociology and anthropology, he said you'll be considered insane to do that. Because if the child at that age is a virgin, then it is unusual. Then you come to the house of an armed robber and you wait for the 19-year-old boy who picks up money in the village square to return it to the village square. If that happens, you will ask the child, who's your father? The Nigerian system as presently constituted is rent-taking and rent-seeking. It does not encourage hard work. And how are you going to get leaders who will give their best? What we must first do is what the Americans did through the Federalist Papers, and then Abraham Lincoln came with the proclamation. And Americans have a manifesto that says the minimum is that every human being has a right to life, the right to dignity, and to the right to pursuit of happiness. We must create that level where everybody in this country will be treated equal, will believe that he or she is equal. What we have today does not allow for that. So to ask for good leaders and good governance, not predicated on these basics, is to wish for Godot. And I think that the time has come for us to call a spade by its name and stop hiding behind one finger.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing justice to that question right there. Let's see if we've got some more questions for our prof, who's right here, able and ready to give to us answers as they come. All right, I don't think we've got more questions. Okay, so one more question, Prof, before we hit the road. We see this one: Nigeria at 60 and the federal government has rejected restructuring. What is the alternative? Prof, are you with us?
Yeah, go again.
Hello, Prof, are you there? Okay, Nigeria at 60 and the federal government has rejected restructuring. What is the alternative?
No, I truly do not think that the federal government can, they're perhaps hesitant. I think that it is too strong to say that they have rejected restructuring. I believe that the pressure will continue. I believe that we will continue to call a spade by its name. I believe that those who truly love our dear president and who truly care about our country will continue to speak up and speak up louder and louder. I believe that ultimately this government will understand that the only way forward is to sit down and rework this country. If you like, restructure this country.
That's a message, a take-home message. The only way forward is to sit down and restructure the country, Nigeria. Prof, I would like to say a very big thank you for showing up today at Elombah Television and taking your time to answer all our questions. I'm sure our viewers have been reached today and they've gotten something, some messages from our dear Prof. Thank you so much, Prof.
Pleasure is profoundly
And
mine.
we hope that you'd respond when next we call on you to come around.
I will, God willing. God bless
Thank you
Nigeria.
so much. Thank you so much. And to everyone who's been viewing both online on Zoom, on YouTube, on Facebook, and Instagram, we appreciate you. We thank you so much for staying around up until now. We are grateful. And I'm saying thank you so much. Do not forget to follow us on Instagram, like our Facebook page and also subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you'd get all of our information as they drop. My name is Angel Lady. Until we come your way again, have yourselves a pleasant day. Bye now.
Okay, see you. Talk to you later. I still have your number. I hope you have not changed it, Prof.
My numbers are still valid.
Okay. All right. Take good care of yourself. You've done very well. I
God
hope they
bless you.
listen. We are
They will
pushing
listen.
the.
They will. God
You still
willing.
have a long way to go, and